Yeah, hi. Assalamu alaikum. uh, I wanted. I was looking at something and found it very interesting. I was researching it. Is in the volume footprint graph, because volume footprint graph, and I'm not very proficient in it, so trying to develop a mechanism that helps me understand what the footprint is trying to tell me without having to sit and without having to analyze and decode every little thing. Going through today's today's trade. This was the opening 5 minute candle, and this candle is very interesting because the let's see what the candle is saying. The candle is saying, or the candle is saying, both are the same candle, that the price opened at 211.43, went all the way to 213.07, okay, and then it fell all the way to 208.68 and closed here. So if we just look at this candle, what is this candle telling me? What is candle telling me? This candle is telling me that initially there was some buying pressure, and then the selling pressure brought the price down. Okay. My What I wanted to know was, isn't volume footprint supposed to give me additional information? Isn't it supposed to tell me this is the delta volume footprint graph? Isn't it supposed to show here that there was an incoming selling pressure that drove the price down? But the delta volume footprint is not telling me that here. It is not giving me conclusive information about the trade. So I began questioning how helpful is the thing, and am I not supposed to see selling volume here if the sellers are driving the price down? Am I not supposed to see some kind of selling pressure from the seller's side? And that's when I realized I'm missing something. You know, you use delta footprint graph to understand how aggressive is someone over there. You're not trying to measure the quantity. You're not seeing buyers versus sellers. You're seeing the market orders being hit at that price. You're seeing who's the one being aggressive at that price. That's how you look at a delta volume footprint graph. You understand? You don't see as who's winning at this level. You just see it as who's being aggressive at this level. For example, if you want the full picture, you want to understand what's actually going on. Let's take a look at buy and sell, and let's do this cluster. Let's do this profile. Okay, let's go deeper into this candle. Let's try to dissect this candle as much as I think I can't dissect anymore. Okay, let's say the price opened here. Okay, the price is now climbing up. The buyers are winning. The buyers are winning. The buyers are winning. The buyers are winning very clearly here, and this process continues all the way till here. Here we see the sellers. Here there are very less sellers, and here there are a lot more buyers compared to the sellers at this price level. Okay, here we see the sellers have stepped in. Now, this is not telling me whether this was the volume going up or coming down. So, if for example, the candle is the number of buyers here reach zero, and the volume and the number of buyers are not increasing much as this price goes down, but the number of sellers is going high, I can tell, okay, the sellers have started pressuring the stock. It's very much possible that the sellers, while the stock was going up, was 1.500, but while coming down, it became 1.29k. This selling pressure came at the second half. You understand? This buying pressure existed when the stock was going up. But when the stock was coming down, this selling pressure was not there. So it's not valid when the stock was coming down. But Delta doesn't show you this. So use Delta only to try and understand how aggressive is the buyer or seller at that price. Don't use Delta to assume that, okay, the buyers are winning here. Use Delta to see who's aggressive, but doesn't necessarily mean that the one who's aggressive will win. Because, like we have discussed before, the one who gets exhausted is the one who loses. Here, the buyers got exhausted, the price goes down. The buyers went and hit zero. The buyers were completely exhausted. There were no buy orders anymore at this price. At 213, there were absolutely no buyers whatsoever. And the sellers then stepped in. The sellers might have assumed that the price will go back up, but that did not happen. And when that did not happen, you can see the desperation from the sellers. We can see a clear, uh, how do I say it? A clear revoke of the buyers. No, revoke is not the right word. A clear withdrawal of the buyers and a clear desperation of the sellers. This should give us enough hint into understanding where the stock is supposed to go today. So suppose we come across something like this again. Suppose we see something like this again, in which uh, in which delta. Wait 1 minute. Delta. In which delta is suggesting another story, but the opposite of that is happening. That is clearly shown as weakness of that party. That when delta shows that the buyers are winning, but the one who ends up winning is are the sellers, then we assume a bearish bias, at least at this price, at least at 100 211. We assume a bearish bias, you know and I think that makes sense to me. So suppose we come across a second candle like this. Same story. Delta is showing positive on the top side but negative on the bottom side. And it should be the opposite. The buyer should step down below. The buyer should win here. But the buyers are winning here, sellers are winning here. That again shows that this buying delta might have happened while the stock was going up. And while the stock was coming down, the buyers were absolutely absent. They were like withdrawn. So sellers won bottom. Sellers won here. Buyers won for a little bit. Sellers won again. Red candle. Sellers won at the bottom. Buyers won at the top. Sellers won throughout. Sellers won. Seller buyer mix candle. But the one winning with higher volume are the buyers. But the price is falling despite it. It's telling me that the buyers tried to push the price up here for a little bit. Yeah. Stock fell and the buyers tried to push the price up a little bit. And it tried maintaining this price. And buyers again stepped in up, but sellers won the bottom. Sellers won the bottom, buyers won the top. Sellers won. Buyers won the top, sellers won the bottom. 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 Nobody won. Very indecisive candle. Buyers won, but not by a lot. Sellers won. Sellers won. Sellers won. Sellers won. The bottom. Sellers and sellers won, but there is a presence of buyers at the support. So we expect people have stepped up at 204. At 204, the buyers have stepped up. And the candle confirms it. The buyers did step up, but only till 206. Bottom is mixed, sellers are at the top. Now this candle is making sense. Now it's behaving the way it's supposed to. Sellers won the bottom, sellers won, sellers won, sellers won the bottom, buyers at the mid and top. Candle is interesting. Which candle is this? Again, this is interesting because again it's showing buying pressure from the buyers. Sellers were supposed to win the bottom in this case because it's a big red candle, but that did not happen. And after seeing a constant this move, buyers one, sellers one, but you can constantly see a presence of the sellers even on the green candles. The volume profile is clearly showing you a presence of the sellers, and that's very interesting because that's exactly what happened. The price fell throughout, and like from 213 to 201 the price fell, and then the price recovered at 1905. No wonder we're starting to see. But again, sellers at the bottom, sellers at the bottom, sellers at the bottom. I want to see buyers at the bottom, sellers at the bottom. Okay, buyers at the bottom, sellers at the bottom. uh Delta, sellers one, buyers at the top. I lose interest when buyers are at the top. Okay, mix at the bottom, buyers at the bottom, buyers at the bottom. Okay, 203 is where people are beginning, the buyers are beginning to step up. 203, 204 is slightly mixed. 204 is slightly sellers one, and you could see it was mixed. There should be a clear support from the buyers, like a clear win from the buyers on the support side, that the buyers are supporting the price. There's no one supporting the price. Why is there a negative delta? Okay, the price recovered a little bit because the buyers stepped in for some time. Let's uh, let's actually look into this candle and try to observe what's happening. If we try to look into this candle, let me change the UC color darker, and we look here. Exhaustion of buyers. My God, Ex- anyway, exhaustion of buyers. Okay, I am seeing the buyers are beating the sellers at this level. Yeah, the sellers are stepping up at this level, adding pressure, adding pressure, adding pressure, adding pressure. Buyers holding up their own at this level. But the most important level was this. What is this telling me? Actually, it's not a very interesting candle. It's not telling me anything now that I look into it. This is a very clear win from the seller's side. Very clear win from the 5K, 5.7K. A win from the sellers again. Win from the buyers. The buyer support. Now the buyers have supported the bottom part. The reason we switched to buy and sell was to try and figure out who added the pressure when. For example, if we look at this minus 399 candle, we can see that the buyers did support the bottom, but the majority of the value lies in this part of the candle. You know, if we look at this part of the candle, who won this candle? We look here, 333. Very obviously, the sellers won this candle. Sellers won this candle, won this candle. The sellers won this candle at this level. The sellers won the candle at this level. Yeah, yeah, okay. And again at the same price, right below 204, the sellers won the candle again. I mean, won this price area 204. And then you see the buyers win this area. Nice. Okay, so we look at it area wise. Now we look at the buyers step up and win this area, the area where the sellers were previously winning, which is still inside the value area high and the value area low. And then the buyers won the main round as well. This candle decisively tells us that, okay, the buyers are ready for stepping up the game. The buyers step up. Hmm, interesting. Get the footprint in conjunction with the price. Of course, is the entire concept of the footprint, but the overlapping value area high and the value area low is very important. Value area high and the value area low is overlapping for one, two, three, four, five candles, or maybe more. Maybe even no, yeah, five candles. So it was trying to fight the 204 price and figure out where are we supposed to go. And what would happen if we tried to cross the 204 price? Ah, the sellers would step up. Yeah, 904, 6.2. Sellers step up, step up, step up. And buyers were trying to match the sellers. Buyers exhausted. The buyers tried to step up, but they exhausted. Price fell. Okay, interesting. And whenever the price would go beyond a certain limit, the sellers would step up again. And then, very interesting. Very interesting. Suppose I was looking at something like this in real time that I'm supposed to make. I'm paying attention to this level winner. Of course, I can derive that the buyers won, but I'm looking at it in time. I don't have the uh, time to process how fast. Okay, anyway, back to the video. I failed to understand how I'm supposed to see this footprint, so we will go at another consolidation area. Something like something that I was actually reading. 630, 1635. Okay, let's try going back to 1635. Let's go here. Let's see what is the value area that is overlapping and around a round number. So 205, I think 205 region is clearly overlapping amongst, yeah, 205 is 205 to 205.14. Let's see who was winning here initially. Initially at this price level specifically, the sellers were winning. Sellers won. The sellers won. The sellers won. And when the price did rally, even then the sellers won. Again, we are seeing buyers step in at a higher price. So can we say that the price rose on the expectation, let's suppose, on the expectation, or that the price will rise, because but there was no actual institutional buying or any real buyer at that level. That is exactly what happened. It came back down to 205. Okay, interesting. If I am watching a certain level and if that level is broken, for example, I'm expecting the price to fall below 205 because I'm seeing a clear dominance of the sellers at this price. The buyers won at 11K, point 0.98K. But nothing compared to the way sellers are dominating this. area. The price rose, but I can expect a breakdown. Would that be, would I be inferring that correct? Is that what I should be seeing when I'm trading live? Let's come back to this area again because even this is an interesting area. The price tried consolidating here. There are overlapping values. No, the value areas are not overlapping. Okay, at least in these two candles it is. These two candles, who was the one winning? Only in the value area. I only care about the value area. And this, sellers, buyers by marginal, sellers by marginal, buy, sellers heavy, buyers, okay, six, a little bit leaning towards the sellers here. Okay, the sellers dominated this candle. Sellers destroyed the buyers in this candle. Delta was minus, yeah, and close here. Buyers were still weak here, this candle. I mean, even in this price range. So, what was the price range here? This was 204.7, I think. It was trying to reconfirm if 205 is actually broken, and the absence of, okay, there was an absence of sellers as well. Hmm. Hmm. I focus on the value region. The sellers did beat the buyers up. So I guess I am looking for overlapping value regions, for example, like this price. Overlapping in three areas. This, and this. Who won? Buyers won, sellers won, sellers won. Buyers won, so it tried going up, but buyers failed that push. Then sellers won. Hmm. I'll try revisiting this later. If I have anything of value to add, maybe I'll do that. I I hope you learned something. Although this was not an educational video, it was me trying to figure out how to use volume footprints, and as and hopefully me trying to share so that you will might like see things from a different perspective if you are not, and if you are, and if you're seeing things from a different perspective, maybe even you can help me. So this, I'll label this as part two. I will. I think I'll turn this into a series. Turn this into trying to understand. Hard volume footprint is hard for me, and it's very new. Inshallah. Anyway, see you in the next video.